Welcome back, everybody. Today we are exploring public housing complexes of Scarborough, Ontario. Right off the bat, we'll start off with Bay Mills. Bay Mills is a small TCHC housing complex in the northern portion of Scarborough. TCHC stands for Toronto Community Housing Corporation. It's the governing authority when it comes to public housing in the city of Toronto. Scarborough is now a borough of Toronto. Before 1999, it was its own independent city suburb that shared services and institutions with the city of Toronto, but amalgamated officially in 1999, becoming part of Toronto. Scarborough has dozens of these public housing complexes. They're all very small, but they are scattered all throughout the city. This one here is called Bay Mills. It's a small public housing complex near Birchmount and Shepherd. Now this is the neighborhood of Chester Lee, another public housing complex in the northern portion of Scarborough. Slightly bigger than Bay Mills, but still a relatively small housing complex. If anybody knows what the artwork is on these brick walls here, I'd love to know. It seems to be nature themed, so if you know, please leave a comment. For some reason, I feel like mushroom people would live in these houses. This neighborhood is located near Victoria Park and Finch Avenue. Again, most of these neighborhoods are only 2 to 3 blocks in total. For public housing complexes, they do keep them pretty clean, I must admit. I was shocked to see that. Other than their garbage waste areas, those are poorly maintained and poorly kept. These neighborhoods are all like little mazes. That's very common, this scene. You'll see this in almost every housing complex we explore. That seems to be the common theme: poorly kept waste management areas. Now, this area is called Canlish Road. It's a very small public housing complex in central Scarborough, near the intersection of Kennedy and Lawrence, if I recall correctly. Some of these neighborhoods seem to have undergone updated decos and renovations. I've also noticed large solar panel arrays on a lot of these Toronto public housing complexes. If you know anything about that, please leave a comment. Now, this neighborhood is called Cataraqui. It's the only neighborhood throughout the entire tour that I felt a little bit unsafe at times. This neighborhood is in South Scarborough by the intersection of Warden and Danforth. I actually think I was followed at one point while making this video. Scarborough seems to have a bad reputation when it comes to crime and street gangs, and a lot of these public housing complexes can be directly linked to a street gang at one time or another throughout Scarborough's history. If you Google any one of these complexes, you'll find an active or defunct street gang. Still surprisingly clean. This neighborhood certainly has American feels. This is just a strip mall that I think the city forgot about on Eglinton Avenue. This is the neighborhood of Gordon Ridge, or G Ridge, or Ghetto Ridge, as locals and the media have often referred to it. Like the other neighborhood, this neighborhood experiences higher levels of violent crime, and certainly higher than the city average. I wouldn't say any of these neighborhoods are ghetto in the sense of comparing it to the United States. However, I would call these crime pockets. I think a more accurate term would be crime pockets, as the entire area is functional. The services are functional. There just seems to be a higher proportion of criminal activity. This area is called Glamorgan, and I believe there's only 2 buildings on this strip that are TCHC buildings. 6 Glamorgan and 100 Glamorgan. I could be wrong about that. If anybody knows, please leave a comment. Is one of the TCHC buildings. Some public housing apartment buildings can be indistinguishable from private low rental apartment buildings in the city of Scarborough. If I had to guess, that building we're looking at would be a TCHC building. Here we are in the Trudell/400 neighborhood of Scarborough. This is by McCowan and Eglinton. This is the heart of the 400 McCowan Road housing complex. Also home to one of my favorite classic 90s hip-hop groups called Citizen Kane. If you're into real 90s hip-hop, early 2000s, Citizen Kane is foundation hip-hop for the city of Toronto. I highly urge you to check them out. And this is probably the dirtiest plaza I have ever seen in Canada. Not only is it shameful for Canadian standards, but I don't think Americans would accept it either. I've never seen anything like it. The place smelt like open sewage. There were crackheads and needles and garbage everywhere. There was open criminal activity, and the normal folk that were there are third world refugees and immigrants just trying to get by. It's not a great mix. I'm pretty sure that's urine, because I could smell it. There was also 2 burned out vehicles in this parking lot that have been there for weeks. The city really needs to clean this place up. Well, this concludes the part 1 tour of Scarborough public housing complexes. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you.